Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to another video. It's that time of the weekend, it's Premier League predictions time, and if game week 1 was anything to go by, then we are going to be set for a very interesting and exciting Premier League campaign to come this season. Obviously game week 2, like I say, is upon us, and this is of course the video where I talk about each and every single game to come up in the next round of Premier League fixtures. And of course give my predictions on how I think each and every single game will turn out. Before we get into all of that though, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always very greatly appreciated. Get involved in the comment section as well. I always encourage this. Use and abuse the comment section, people. Would love to hear your thoughts, your comments, your opinions, but most of all, of course, your predictions on how you think each and every single game will turn out this weekend. Remember people, this is a Premier League predictions video, so your predictions will make for great and interesting reading, I'm sure, in that particular section. All good? Great. Without further ado, let's get on with the video. Let's get into the predictions. And first and foremost, we have got the Saturday lunchtime kickoff for us to sink our teeth into. It is going to be from the Amex Stadium, Brighton and Hove Albion taking on Manchester United. And I've gone with a 2-2 draw in this one. Both teams coming off the back of victories in their opening matches of the brand new season. Brighton were brilliant against Everton, winning by 3-0 there. A very entertaining game. Brighton didn't have it all their own way, but at the same time, they were clinical enough to get the job done. Manchester United, a little bit of the opposite in terms of they weren't exactly the most clinical, but they managed to get the job done nonetheless by beating Fulham by 1-0. They had created better chances, and with a bit more clinical edge to their final play in the final third, they may have actually scored more, but it still finished 1-0 and the 3 points going to United. I'm expecting a very intriguing and exciting game. I'm expecting an end-to-end sort of game in this one. Normally is a bit of an exciting game when these two teams meet, and of course there is plenty of late drama as well that normally unfolds between these two, so certainly don't be leaving this game early by any stretch of the imagination when this one does kick off on Saturday. And it is definitely one that I found difficult to predict. I don't necessarily know as of right now the full ins and outs of Brighton, their new manager, and everything else that goes along with them. But I'm intrigued to obviously watch it all unfold. And as far as what Man United go, whilst there were signs last week to be hopeful, optimistic and excited for the future, we obviously are still waiting for definitive proof, I guess you could say, of whether or not they have definitely turned a corner. As far as this game does go, look, this could go any which way. I'm excited to know, I'm excited to watch this game. I personally think that this will end in a draw, but this one definitely could end up any which way. But I've gone with 2-2 in this one. Another draw as we played out, in my opinion, is the game at Selhurst Park between Crystal Palace and West Ham. Both of these sides looking to bounce back from their defeats on the opening day of the season. Palace lost 2-1 to Brentford, of course, and West Ham lost 2-1 to Aston Villa, both losing them very late on in the second half of those games. I've gone with a 1-1 draw. Now, if I had to stick my neck out on the line and predict a winner, I'm going to go for Palace. I'm going to go for Palace in this one and say that Palace will get the job done. But I just think that West Ham, still a bit of an unknown under their new manager. They didn't perform too badly last week in their defeat against Villa. I just think that obviously, I just think that they'll do well to cancel out Palace in this instance, and I still think both teams are still finding their feet into the season. Having said that, I'm still very much intrigued by the development of these two sides, especially under their new respective managers. I know that Glasner has been there a little bit longer than what Lopetegui has, but even so, still big things expected of Palace this season in terms of maybe being a bit of an overachiever. Interested to see this one. Like I say, I'd probably be leaning more towards a Palace win, but in saying that, I just think West Ham will do enough to get them a point in this one. bit of a London derby as well, so I'm very much intrigued by this one. Next up, Fulham against Leicester. Craven Cottage away. It's the first game of the season to be played out at at that ground, and I've gone with a 2-1 victory in favour of Fulham. Now, of course, both teams will be looking to pick up their first win of the season. Fulham lost 1-0 to Manchester United, as we alluded to earlier. They didn't really create much in that game, but I'm expecting them against more favourable opposition, with all due respect to Leicester, to create more. And of course, when Fulham are at home, they are they can be very difficult to beat, whether it be to break down defensively or to stop when they are going forward. I'm expecting Fulham to have a bit more joy in the attacking third, and it's all up to Leicester whether or not they can neutralise and stop them in that particular area. As for Leicester, they picked up a brilliant point against Tottenham on Monday night. It was a dreadful first half performance, but they certainly redeemed themselves in the second half, and they made up for it with Jamie Vardy, 37-year-old Jamie Vardy, rescuing them a point against Ante Postecoglou's Tottenham. A brilliant start to the season there for the Foxes, and something for them to build upon. But in saying that, like I say, away from home, Craven Cottage, always difficult. I think Fulham will have just enough about them in the final third especially to see them across the finish line and to get them the 3 points, or their first 3 points of the season. Next up, Manchester City taking on Ipswich. What a horrible opening couple of games this is for Ipswich. First Liverpool, in which they lost 2-0, and now they face the defending Premier League champions, the team that is looking to make it 5 Premier League titles in a row, Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. It's a massive uphill battle for them, and it's one that I think they're going to lose pretty emphatically. If Ipswich play how they did against Liverpool in the opening game, they will get battered, unfortunately. That's just the way I see it. Don't get me wrong, Ipswich in the first half were very, very good against Liverpool. They were very, very good. They just ran out of steam completely in that second half. As soon as that second half whistle went, they absolutely ran out of steam, in my opinion. They played a bit of a risky first half as well, that Liverpool were just not quite up to the standard, not quite firing all cylinders, and obviously were probably just playing a bit within themselves and under the occasion of obviously the ruckus and high energy home crowd on that day. I just think that against a better team they would have been picked apart a little bit sooner. If they play like that against City, and there's no reason to doubt that they won't play like that against City, they could get picked apart very easily. City could really fancy themselves of not only just winning this game, but scoring quite a few goals as well. And Erling Haaland in particular will be licking his lips at the prospect of getting on the score sheet. I'm interested to see this game, but I think it could be a bit of a bloodbath for Ipswich. Unless they completely switch it up and make themselves a little bit more difficult to break down, I think City have this game pretty much sewn up. I hope I'm wrong, and I'm hoping that there will be some mad underdog story. I'm hoping that there will be some mad David versus Goliath thing that happens here. But unfortunately, City to win, and win emphatically, is what I am going for here. Next up, we're off to St Mary's for the first time this season as Southampton are taking on Nottingham Forest. Southampton, of course, couldn't make their advantage of the extra man count last week when they lost 1-0 to a 10-man Newcastle side, whilst Forest were winning 1-0 until I think the 85th, 86th minute when Bournemouth equalised, meaning the points were shared there. I've gone with a 2-1 Forest win, and again, this game could really go any which way. I just think with Forest know-how in this league, and obviously the bit more experience that they may have in the Premier League, I just think that they will get the job done, and I'm very much interested to see obviously the development and the continuation of Nuno Espirito Santo as the Forest manager. So, very much intrigued by all of that, very much intrigued by Forest, and I'm very much intrigued by Southampton as well, to be honest with you. How are they going to adapt in the Premier League? Obviously, they've been missing Premier League football for over a year or so now. I'm very much intrigued by both of these sides, and I don't think this is going to be a classic Premier League game by any stretch of the imagination. I think Forest will just about have enough about them to get the job done and to get the 3 points. But yes, this one could be very interesting to say the least. Could go any which way though. That's the bottom line here. Could go any which way. Southampton at home, you wouldn't put it past them to obviously use that home crowd to their advantage. But I am going for a Forest win, 2-1 to Nuno Espirito Santo's side. Next up, Tottenham Hotspur taking on Everton. Now, of course, Tottenham will still be kicking themselves from that 1-1 draw with Leicester on Monday night, a game that they should have won and won pretty comfortably, in my personal opinion. But after what was an incredible first half, it was the chances that they missed that came back to haunt them, as of course Jamie Vardy scored the equalising goal that saw them share the points on Monday night. As for Everton, losing 3-0 to Brighton, they certainly had their chances in that game, but they just ultimately couldn't take them. And that's where I think this game is going to lie. It's going to lie in the final third. Who has got the better final third? Who's got the better attack? And of course, that to me would be Tottenham. Everton are going to be resilient. Everton are going to be tough to break down. And it isn't completely out of the realms of possibility for another draw to play out between these two sides. However, in saying all of that, I just see this being a win for Tottenham. I think that they will create the chances like they did on Monday night, and I think they will actually start taking them as well, which will put Everton to the sword. Everton will be difficult, of course they will. They'll also spring food for thought on the counter-attack and obviously from set pieces, but ultimately I just see Spurs having the better of the attack and scoring the goals to obviously win the game. So Ange Postecoglou and Tottenham to pick up their first win of the season is what I am going for here. Moving on to Sunday's games, we're jumping a little bit ahead, and first up we've got Bournemouth taking on Newcastle. Massive game, a game that I've gone 2-0 to Newcastle for, simply for the reason that, again, I think it will be the telling of the two attacks, and I think Newcastle have the better attack in my opinion. I think after missing out on game week 1, Alexander Isak will be among the goal scorers this weekend. I think he will certainly bag this weekend. Hopefully Newcastle can actually keep 11 men on the pitch this weekend, after of course their 1-0 win against Southampton, in which they were reduced down to 10 men very early on. As for Bournemouth, they left it late against Nottingham Forest to rescue a point, but it's still a decent point to kick off the season. I'm very much interested to see the development of Andoni Iraola in his second season in charge of Bournemouth this season, but I just don't think they will have enough about them here to get the job done against Eddie Howe's side. Of course, Eddie Howe returning to face his former club, of course. Very much intriguing, very much interested in this game, but one that I see Newcastle winning fairly comfortably, 2-0. I think they'll have enough about them defensively to neutralise Bournemouth in the key areas, and I think they'll have enough about them in the attacking sense to really put this game to bed. Next up, we're off to Molineux. Wolves against Chelsea. I really don't know how to predict this game. I struggled last season with predicting Wolves and Chelsea games, in all honesty, so when they play against each other it's even worse, but I really don't know, and it's mainly because of the unpredictability of Chelsea. I really don't know what to expect from them. Both sides obviously coming off the back of 2-0 defeats on their opening day of the season. Wolves lost 2-0 to Arsenal, Chelsea lost 2-0 to Manchester City, both teams looking to bounce back. We know that Wolves can be tricky opposition for the majority of teams that they face. And I don't doubt that Chelsea won't be any different. Like I said, I can't separate these two. I really can't. And you know, maybe Chelsea will go on and shock me, because I don't think we could use last week as any sort of insight into how Chelsea will perform this season. I think they obviously did face the best team in the league. They obviously faced probably the best team in the world, arguably. In Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, and I don't really think you can gauge too much about their season just based off that one performance. Having said that, this is obviously a bit more of a favourable game. We may get more of an insight here, but I don't really know what to expect. On paper, probably Chelsea should win this game, but at the same time, we know that at home, Wolves can be very difficult opposition to break down. They can play some really lovely football at times. Gary O'Neil got them playing some good football, and I've highly rated and sang his praises a lot last season. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. So I've gone with a 2-2 draw. I think there could be goals in this one. I'm very much intrigued to see how this one will play out. I'm excited for this game. Really much excited to see this game. But 2-2 is what I've gone with there. Next up, Liverpool against Brentford. The penultimate game on this list comes from Anfield, where the Reds take on the Bees. Arne Slot versus Thomas Frank. Very much interested in this game for obvious reasons. Both teams looking to build off the back of their opening day wins. Liverpool beating Ipswich Town by 2-0. Brentford beating Crystal Palace by 2-1. Very much intrigued by these two teams in particular. I've gone with a Liverpool win. I think if Liverpool are to carry on from the second half display, they will absolutely put Brentford to the sword. I really do think that. I think if they were to carry on from the second half of the performance against Ipswich last week, Liverpool will absolutely put Brentford to the sword here. And I'm very much interested to see the continuation of Slot Ball. Very much interested to see how he continues to implement his vision on this squad. And hopefully we can make it 2 wins out of 2. And I think we definitely have the squad and players to do it. I think after the performance last week of the likes of Mohamed Salah in particular, picking up his first goal and assist of the season. Trent playing really well. Jota on the score sheet as well. Fingers crossed he can stay fit in particular. And the likes of Gravenberch even playing really well. And McAllister's continued development in this team. Very much interested to see all of these top players perform in a Liverpool shirt. However, in saying that, this could obviously be a bit of a banana skin. Brentford are going to be no pushovers. We know that they play well. We know that they tend to play well, especially against bigger opposition, because their counter-attacking style really does really does suit these kinds of games. So Brentford will be tough. Brentford will be very, very difficult to not only break down, but to also stop if they are in full flow on the counter-attack. In saying that, I'm expecting Liverpool to win. I think they'll have the players to do so, and I think they'll just about have enough firepower and maybe even the strength and depth to overcome this Brentford side. But it's not going to be easy for Arne Slot's men. And finally, what I believe to be the main event of this weekend's round of Premier League fixtures, the biggest game of the upcoming Premier League weekend, it comes from Villa Park, and it is Aston Villa against Arsenal. Massive game, this one, between these two sides. I, for one, am very much intrigued, and the reason why is because obviously what we know about last season. Last season, I think Aston Villa were the only side to perform the double over Arsenal, win both home and away against the Gunners. This could be a real test for Arsenal, but this could also be a very early boost for them if they were to win this game. This could be a very early gathering of momentum and confidence ahead of what is going to be a huge, huge season for Arsenal Football Club and for Mikel Arteta. If they were to win this game, it would show development, it would show continuation, it would show evolution, and it would obviously, like I say, put away the demon that was last season. Many people probably say that losing this game probably hindered and hurt Arsenal's race for the Premier League title. Arguably, yes. But again, they were the only team last season to perform a double over Arsenal and to be a thorn in their side in both the home and away tie of this game. What I'm expecting here, it could be an Unai Emery masterclass. It's going to be an absolute battle right the way throughout the pitch. But I've gone with 2 on Arsenal because I think they'll learn from their mistakes of last season. I think they will put away the chances that they create, and I think they may have just enough about them to also neutralise Villa more so. Not completely, which is why I've given Villa the opportunity to obviously get a goal here. But at the same time, I think they'll have enough about them to get the job done, to neutralise for the majority Aston Villa, but to also go and get the win. If they don't win, I think that is a huge signal that they definitely do need to invest more in the remaining days of the transfer window, and I think that could be huge for them if they were to go on and do that. But I think we will know a lot about Arsenal in this game, and I'm very much intrigued by this. But I have gone 2-1 Arsenal. I think Arsenal will get the job done on Saturday night, but again, it's not a foregone conclusion, and an Unai Emery masterclass in which he comes back to haunt his former club may be in the works, but we shall wait and see on that one. That brings an end to the video. Those are just my thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of anything that I talked about in this video? What do you make of my predictions? And of course, what are your own? I would love to hear your thoughts, your comments, opinions, but most of all, of course, your predictions on how you think each and every single game will go this weekend. Use and abuse that comment section, people. Drop your predictions down below. I would love to hear from you all. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way if you enjoy the video. Subscribe if you are new and want to see more content like this. Both things are always and very greatly appreciated. Get involved, like I say, in that comment section. We'd love to hear from you all. Thanks everyone for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Premier League predictions video, and I will see you speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you all again very soon. Take care.